everybody. Good to see you. He is an actor, singer, and new kid on the block. His next movies are Body Count and The Taking of Pelham 123. Donnie Wahlberg. Hey, Donnie. Nice to see you. And finally, a multi-talented actor, writer, comedian. His next movie is Lifetime's Final Justice, Michael McKean. Hey, how are you?
Big glad to see you.
Glad to see you. All right. Well, we have been saving this issue until there was a ruling, and there was a ruling today. It was in the California Supreme Court about Marlene Corrigan. She was charged with felony child abuse because her daughter was 680 pounds and died. She got, I guess it was not felony she was charged with, misdemeanor child abuse. And she has been lambasted in some quarters. Other people have come to her defense and say, you know, why are you blaming this woman? But the question is, if you starved your kid to death, they certainly would blame you for this. What do you think about this? I mean, do you think you could feed your kid to death? And
I made a, when my kids were very young, I made a pact that neither of them were to get over 500 pounds. That's it. It's an absolute, there's no argument. We're not going to even discuss this anymore. And they've been doing really well. Yeah. Especially the 12-year-old.
Right, well, she was 13.
Yeah, I think that it's a very tragic situation, but I do think that the mother most certainly does share some responsibility in that, because she's the one that provides the groceries, the leadership, and she has the responsibility and the care of that kid. And to do that, even if the kid was defiant and you could not restrict their eating or try and get them to eat properly, she should have gotten some kind of help and assistance with that.
I mean, they always blame the mothers. It's always the mother's fault. What is she supposed to do? Bar the refrigerator, you know, or wire the kid's mouth shut?
What do you mean? What is she supposed to do? Be a mother.
You got a 600-pound kid, you know, it's going to overpower you pretty quickly.
Well, she must have, she obviously kept the refrigerator pretty stocked, though, so I don't, you know, she could have done, obviously, something. You know, if she can afford to have that much food in the house. I mean, the girl was 680 pounds.
680?
Yeah, she couldn't move around that quickly. She could throw us some lettuce and run.
Aren't you, I'm just kind of interested in what, it's kind of like, what were you thinking, Mom? You know, weren't there any red flags here ever? I mean, look, if you take the year that they're going to give her in jail and just sit and talk to her and ask her a lot of questions, maybe we'll learn something about, you know, denial or something. I mean, it's just...
But that's the question, is should this, we all say it's tragic, of course, but should she go to jail for this? Should this woman be held accountable? Is a parent guilty? Just the way she would be if the kid had no food. And you don't think so?
No, I mean, I think that this kid was essentially committing suicide. I mean, she was eating herself to death. Kids do...
You know, kids don't commit suicide.
Oh, sure they do. You know,
kids, she was 13 when she died.
What about all of the anorexic women, young women that die? I mean, you're going to put all of their mothers in jail, or all the kids that, you know, take drugs and overdose? I mean, you know, I think...
I would do it with, not happily and egerly, but she should pay some price for it.
She paid a lot, all those grocery bills all over there.
Huh? What do you say?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, she contributed to that. She should pay some price.
Contributed. I mean, a parent in the home isn't there? Shouldn't they be the law, the absolute law?
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, at some.
She was the law. You finish everything on that plate, or you're going to.
Everything in that fridge is what she said. No, it's tough. It's tough, easy to be silly about it, but
I'd drop my head and send her to jail.
Yeah. I would send her to jail too.
Yeah.
I mean, because the kid was, when she was 7, she was 190.
Yeah. And it wasn't genetic or anything? I mean,
no, normal at birth. It was not a thyroid thing.
No. Yes, this irresponsible.
Thank God she was normal at birth. I mean, you know, if she was like 300 pounds at birth, it would have been extremely painful for the mother. You know?
We all would have heard about it 13 years ago.
National Enquirer.
But, I mean, now you're a libertarian. You think, so this is part of your let whatever happens, happen?
Live and let die. No. I mean, I get a little worried when all of a sudden we are collectively each other's mothers and parents. You know, yes, she should have done a better job, but if you start going down that road, then, you know, we're going to be telling everybody.
Take the other end of the spectrum.
Right.
But starving a child to death is using force. I mean, this woman wasn't sitting there, at least as I know, like stuffing Cheetos down her mouth. You know, the kid does bear some responsibility herself.
At 13.
Yeah.
And when you're 7 years old and you're 190, I don't know whether this was a really normal childhood.
As a culture, we say, okay, it's all right, fat is beautiful, you know, nobody should be too thin. All of these fashion magazines are giving people the wrong message. I mean, there's this whole movement of fat acceptance. Maybe we as a culture should say, no, fat is not beautiful. It is not okay.
Right. There is a group called Fat Acceptance. In fact,
yeah, Fat So.
Fat So. Get it? Yeah. Fat So.
So what?
And they came to the defense of the mother. And I don't understand how come we do that with fat, but we don't do it with any other...
The daughter died. It's not like she's just fat and got picked on at school. But she died. I mean, what are you defending? You're defending a girl who died of obesity. There's no defense.
Okay, we have to take a break. We'll come right back.